Brandon Mitchell checked his watch for the third time in 5 minutes. 9:42. He had 18 minutes to get to the most important interview of his life. TechVenture Capital, one of the biggest venture capital firms in Silicon Valley. And he had an interview with Robert Chen. The Robert Chen, billionaire, self-made, the man who turned a $10,000 investment into a billion-dollar empire. Brandon had prepared for 3 weeks, memorized every question, researched every deal Chen had ever made. He was ready. He just needed to get there. The parking garage at 450 Market Street was a nightmare. 6 levels, nearly full. Brandon's BMW crawled down the ramp behind a beat-up Honda Accord. 15 years old, maybe older. Faded paint, dented bumper, and it was going so, incredibly. Slow. This is the human stories, where we share moments of consequence, character, and the split-second decisions that reveal who we really are. This is the story of a parking garage, a job interview, and a lesson about respect that cost one man everything. Act 1. The parking garage, the Honda Accord, move at maybe 5 miles per hour. The driver checking each parking spot carefully, passing the open ones, looking for something specific. Brandon's jaw clenched. 9:40-3. He tapped his horn. Quick, polite. The Honda didn't speed up. Brandon waited. 10 seconds. 20. They passed another level. More spots. The Honda kept going. Brandon hit the horn again. Longer this time, nothing. Come on, Brandon muttered. He'd worked too hard for this. Top 5% of his MBA class. Internships at Goldman, McKinsey. Every advantage. Every connection. This interview was supposed to be a formality. Chen hired people like Brandon. Winners. Achievers. People who got things done. Not people who drove 15-year-old Hondas at 5 miles per hour. The Honda finally signaled, started backing into a spot. So, incredibly, slowly. Brandon couldn't take it anymore. He pulled alongside. Window already down. Leaned out. Are you kidding me? Move it, old man. Some of us actually have places to be. The driver didn't react, just kept backing in, inch by inch. Like he had all day. Brandon shook his head. Unbelievable. He hit the gas, tires squealing slightly, found a spot 2 levels up, parked in 30 seconds, grabbed his briefcase, checked his watch. 9:40-7. 13 minutes. Plenty of time. He took the stairs, 2 at a time, emerged into the building lobby. Modern, glass, steel, expensive art on the walls. This was where he belonged. With successful people, not crawling through parking garages behind ancient Hondas. He pressed the elevator button, waited, checked his reflection in the polished steel doors. Hair perfect, tie straight, suit pressed. He looked like success. The elevator arrived. Doors opened. And there he was, the old man from the Honda, standing in the elevator. Casual clothes, button-down shirt, khakis, looking at his phone. Brandon hesitated, then stepped in, pressed 15. Top floor. The old man didn't move. Already selected. Awkward silence. Brandon tried not to make eye contact. The old man probably worked in maintenance. Or IT. Some low-level position. Definitely not 15th floor material. The elevator climbed. 5, 7, 10. Brandon's phone buzzed. Email from his recruiter. Good luck today. Robert Chen is tough, but fair. Be yourself. Be yourself. Brandon smiled. He knew exactly who he was. A winner. Someone who didn't waste time. Someone who got results. 12, 13, 14. The old man shifted, cleared his throat quietly. Brandon glanced over. The man was staring at the elevator numbers. Calm, patient, like he had nowhere important to be. Must be nice. Brandon thought. No pressure, no deadlines. Just show up, do your simple job. Go home. 15. The doors opened. The reception area took Brandon's breath away. Floor-to-ceiling windows. City views. Modern furniture. A massive sign on the wall. TechVenture Capital. Executive offices. This was it. Brandon stepped out, straightened his tie, headed for the reception desk. The old man stepped out behind him. Brandon Mitchell, Brandon said to the receptionist. Professional smile. Firm voice. I have at 10 o'clock with Mr. Chen. The receptionist, young, professional, friendly, checked her computer. Of course, Mr. Mitchell. Please have a seat. Mr. Chen is finishing up a call. He'll be with you shortly. Brandon sat in one of the leather chairs, pulled out his phone, opened his notes. Final review. Key talking points. ROI optimization, disruptive technologies, aggressive growth strategies, results-driven leadership. He had this. Behind him, he heard the receptionist's voice change, warmer, more respectful. Good morning, Mr. Chen. Brandon looked up. The old man from the elevator was walking past the desk. The receptionist was standing, smiling at him like he was no. The old man, Mr. Chen, nodded to the receptionist. Morning, Sarah. How's your daughter? Much better, thank you. The antibiotics worked. Good. Glad to hear it. He walked down the hallway, disappeared around the corner. Brandon sat frozen. That was Robert Chen. The Robert Chen, the man he just yelled at in the parking garage, the man whose time he'd told to hurry up, the man he'd called old man. Brandon's hands started shaking. Sarah, the receptionist, sat back down, went back to her computer. Normal morning. Nothing unusual. For her. Brandon couldn't breathe. His prepared talking points blurred. His mind raced through the parking garage encounter. Every word, every gesture. Move it, old man. Some of us actually have places to be. Oh, God. He'd said that to Robert Chen. Billionaire Robert Chen. The man who'd built this company from nothing. The man who probably worked more hours in a week than Brandon had in a month. Brandon stood up, sat back down. Stood up again? Mr. Mitchell? Sarah looked concerned. Are you all right? Yes, sorry. Just double coat. He couldn't finish. Nervous? She smiled sympathetically. Don't be. Mr. Chen is very kind. He just wants to know who you are. Who he was. Brandon had spent 3 weeks preparing to show. Robert Chen, a carefully crafted version of himself. Successful, driven, professional. And instead, Chen's first impression was an entitled jerk yelling in a parking garage. The hallway door opened. A man emerged, 50s, kind face. He saw Brandon and smiled. You must be Brandon Mitchell. Brandon stood, shook his hand. Yes, sir. Michael Torres, VP of Operations. Robert asked me to chat with you for a few minutes before your interview. Of course. They walked into a small conference room. Glass walls. View of the city. Michael gestured to a chair. So, tell me about yourself. Brandon launched into his prepared speech. MIT, top grades, leadership positions. But his mind was elsewhere. Was Chen in his office right now, remembering the parking garage? Was he already planning to reject him? You seem distracted, Michael said gently. No, it's okay to be nervous. This is a big opportunity. Brandon nodded, tried to focus. Can I give you some advice? Michael leaned forward. Robert doesn't care about your resume. He's already read it. That's why you're here. What he cares about is character. How you treat people. How you handle pressure. Who you are when no one's watching. Brandon's stomach dropped. There was actually a candidate last year, Michael continued. Perfect background. Harvard, McKinsey. Every credential you could want. Robert was ready to hire him on the spot. What happened? The guy was rude to Sarah, our receptionist. Snapped at her because she asked him to fill out a form. Robert called off the interview immediately. Just for that? Michael smiled. Robert always says, "Show me how someone treats people who can't help them, and I'll show you who they really are." Brandon felt sick. Anyway, Michael stood. "He's ready for you. Good luck." Brandon walked down the hallway. Each step felt heavier. The corner office. Door open. Robert Chun's sat behind a large desk. Reading something on his computer dot, he looked up. Those same calm eyes from the parking garage. "Mr. Mitchell, come in." Brandon entered. The office was stunning. Modern art. Bookshelves. Photos of Chen with presidents, CEOs, celebrities. And in one corner, a photo of a much younger Chen standing in front of a tiny storefront. The beginning. "Sit, please." Brandon sat. The leather chair was comfortable, but he felt like he was sitting on glass. Robert folded his hands, studied Brandon for a moment. "So," he said finally, "tell me why you want to work here." Brandon had practiced this answer 100 times. But now, facing the man he'd disrespected, the words felt hollow. I'm passionate about venture capital, about identifying disruptive technologies. And that's what you think I want to hear, Robert interrupted. I asked what you want, not what sounds good. Brandon swallowed. I want to learn from the best. You've built something incredible. I want to be part of that. Robert nodded slowly. And what do you think makes someone successful in this business? Drive, intelligence, the ability to see opportunities others miss. What about character? Brandon's throat tightened. Of course. Character is important. Is it? Robert leaned back. Or is it just something we say? I believe it's important. Show me. Sir, show me your character. Right now. Brandon's mind raced. This was it. The moment. He could pretend the parking garage never happened. Chen might not even remember, might not have recognized him, or he could tell the truth. "Mr. Chen," Brandon said quietly, "I owe you an apology." Robert's expression didn't change. "This morning, in the parking garage, I was rude to you. I yelled at you. I called you ... double quotes." He couldn't say it. "Old man," Robert finished. "You called me old man." "Yes, sir. And I'm deeply sorry. There's no excuse." "You're right. There isn't." Robert's voice was calm. Not angry. Just factual. You were in a hurry. And you saw someone you perceived as less important. Less valuable. Someone whose time didn't matter as much as yours. That's not. It is. That's exactly what happened. And here's what bothers me, Brandon. It wasn't that you were rude. Everyone has bad days. Everyone makes mistakes. What bothers me is that you didn't hesitate. Brandon looked at the floor. You saw an old man in an old car, and you instantly decided his time was worth less than yours. You didn't know me. Didn't know if I was rushing to the hospital. Didn't know if I'd just gotten terrible news. You just knew I was in your way. Mr. Chun, I drive that Honda because my daughter gave it to me when she graduated college. She saved up for 2 years to buy it. It's the most valuable thing I own. Not because of what it's worth, because of what it represents. Brandon felt tears threatening. He fought them back. I park slowly because my wife died in a car accident 3 years ago. Someone who was in a hurry ran a red light. So now I'm never in a hurry because I learned that getting somewhere 30 seconds faster isn't worth anything if you hurt someone. Along the way, the office was silent except for the muffled sounds of the city below. I'm sorry, Brandon whispered. I know you are, now, but you weren't sorry in the parking garage. You were just annoyed. Robert pulled out Brandon's resume, set it on the desk between them. You have everything we look for on paper. Top schools, strong references, impressive experience. But character isn't on paper. It's in moments, in parking garages, in elevators, in how you treat people when you think it doesn't matter. He slid the resume back toward Brandon. I'm not going to offer you this position. Brandon nodded. He'd known it was coming. But I am going to give you something more valuable. Brandon looked up. A lesson. The same lesson someone gave me 30 years ago, when I was exactly where you are now. Robert stood, walked to the window, looked out at the city. I was 26, broke, desperate for a job. I had an interview with a man named David Liu, brilliant investor, legend in the industry. I was so nervous I spilled coffee all over the receptionist's desk, made a huge mess. And I actually said this, sorry, I'm just here for something important. Robert turned back to Brandon. David Liu canceled my interview, told me to come back when I understood that every person is important. Every moment is important. And that success without character is just sophisticated failure. Did you go back? 5 years later, after I'd learned, after I'd built something of my own, and he invested in my company, became my mentor, my friend. He passed away last year. Robert returned to his desk. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm not hiring you today, but I'm not closing the door either. Come back in 1 year. Show me you've learned this lesson. Show me who you've become. And we'll talk again. Brandon stood, extended his hand. Thank you, Mr. Chen. I won't let you down. They shook hands. Robert's grip was firm, steady. One more thing, Robert said. On your way out, stop at Sarah's desk. Apologize to her, too. I wasn't rude to Sarah. No, but she's the one who had to sit with your anxiety for 15 minutes while you panicked about the parking garage. She deserves an apology for that, for being professional while you were falling apart. Brandon smiled despite himself. Yes, sir. Brandon stepped out of the elevator at 450 Market Street, 15th floor. Same reception area, same city views, but he was different. The past year had been humbling and transformative. He'd taken a job at a small nonprofit, teaching financial literacy to underserved communities. The pay was terrible. The hours were long. But he'd learned more about character in 1 year than in his entire MBA. He'd learned that success isn't about being the smartest person in the room. It's about making everyone in the room smarter. He'd learned that patience isn't weakness. It's strength. And he'd learned that how you treat people when you think it doesn't matter is the only thing that actually does. Mr. Mitchell. Sarah smiled at him. It's good to see you again. It's good to be back, Sarah. How's your daughter? She's great. Starting middle school next year. That's wonderful. Michael Torres appeared in the hallway, grinned. Brandon. Heard you might be stopping by. How was the year? Enlightening. Good. Robert's waiting for you. Brandon walked down the familiar hallway. Corner office. Door open. Robert Chen looked up from his computer, smiled. Brandon. Welcome back. Thank you for seeing me again, Mr. Chen. Of course, sit. Tell me about your year. Brandon told him. About the nonprofit. About the families he'd worked with. About learning to listen instead of talk. To serve instead of sell. Robert listened. Asked questions. Nodded thoughtfully. Finally, he leaned back. So, do you still want to work here? Yes, sir. But for different reasons now. Tell me. A year ago, I wanted this job because it would make me successful. Now, I want it because I think I can help other people become successful. There's a difference. Robert smiled. There is indeed. He pulled out a folder, slid it across the desk. Offer letter. Same position we discussed last year. But here's the catch. I'm not putting you in investments. I'm putting you in mentorship, working with our portfolio companies, teaching young entrepreneurs, helping them build not just businesses, but character. Brandon opened the folder. Read the offer. It was more than fair. But that's not what made him tear up. It was the handwritten note at the bottom. Welcome to the team. David Liu would be proud. Robert. Brandon Mitchell started at TechVenture Capital 3 weeks later. His office was small. His title was junior. But he'd never been more grateful, because he'd learned what Robert Chen already knew. Success isn't about getting somewhere fast. It's about who you become along the way. And sometimes, the most important lessons happen in parking garages. When you're in a hurry, when you're not thinking, when you reveal who you really are. The question is, when that moment comes, who will you be? This is the Human Stories, where we believe character is the only credential that truly matters. Where respect isn't about who can help you. It's about seeing the humanity in everyone, even when you're late, even when you're stressed, even when you think no one important is watching. If this story reminded you of a time you learned humility, drop your city in the comments. Share the moment. Maybe it'll help someone else. Subscribe for more stories about karma, growth, and second chances. Because we all deserve them. But we have to earn them.